I'm Sarah Pearls, and I'm the school psychologist at Shanghai American School on the Puxi campus. And I'm going to make a video for you about how we're using VIA character strengths. Specifically how we're using them in a first grade classroom. I got matched up in a school mentoring program with a first grade teacher named Jen Fisher. And after my first time coming into her class, I noticed that they were doing a read aloud at the end of every day, where Jen would hold up a book and she was pointing out some vocab. And I just suggested to Jen, what if we taught them character strengths during that read aloud?
I choose a book that will probably highlight a strength that will reach at least 3 kids. We spent a good month kind of just talking about what character strengths are and what the different words mean, and coming up with synonyms for them because they're first grade. So a word like perseverance, it's a very big word, but if you explain to them that it means you keep trying and you don't give up, they'll remember the word perseverance. And then from there, I read the story and I tell them, I want you to think about what character strengths you're able to spot in this book. Is the main character being authentic? Is the main character being curious? Are they being creative? Innately, first graders make connections to characters in books. So if there's a character in a book who shows teamwork, well, can you relate to that character? Some will say yes, some will say no. So we started getting kids who felt a sense of ownership over certain character strengths.
So what Jen noticed after we'd been introducing character strengths for a while was that the kids were spontaneously coming up with ways that they were using their character strengths. For example, she'd be teaching Reader's Workshop and a student would say, Miss Fisher, I'm using perseverance. Or kids would come in from the playground and say, we just used teamwork during recess. We couldn't really believe how quickly this language was just becoming infused in the class culture.
One student who was having a hard time finding his niche, because some boys want to do gun, shoot 'em up games, and he wants to jump rope. It was a struggle for him for a little while. He's like, Miss Fisher, I was authentic today because I just wanted to jump rope with the girls, and that's okay because I didn't want to play with other boys were playing.
So tell me, if you were to pick which character strength you think you own, what's your number one character strength?
Authenticity.
Authenticity. And tell me about a time where you feel like you were very authentic.
Like when I play something, I don't care who I'm playing with, and I'm just, sometimes I play with some girls and like that.
Sometimes you play with some girls
and
you don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
What do you like about being authentic?
Being myself.
The confidence that those kids have now versus the confidence that they had at the beginning of the year. Qualities that they were trying to contain or control and thought of as a negative were recognized as the positive side that they had. And they were no longer trying to contain it, but they were showcasing it in a positive way. And they felt so good about themselves. And I think that is a huge piece of where the resilience came from and the openness to problem solving.
Which character strengths do you feel like you use to help you solve problems?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. How do you use forgiveness to help you solve problems?
Like other people do something bad to me, and then I it's okay, like that.
Like you just say it's okay, like that.
When we do parent meetings now, we always talk about the strengths of the child, and we turn it on the parents. What are your strengths? What are you at your best as a parent? And the parent meetings have totally transformed. I've got parents who I've always had interested parents, but parents who really walk out of the office feeling like they have tools that they can use.
Ever since Hudson was very young, he's always been afraid of the water. There were many things that he's been afraid of, his fear of dogs, his fear of insects. Then this year, I think things just came together for him. And I think it's really because of learning about his character strengths and seeing himself in a more positive way, I think has helped him to relax and you know, and realize that he can to open his mind, I guess. And
it sounds like he's become more of a risk taker too.
Yes. He's less fearful. He believes in himself more.
The parents wrote letters after the student-led conferences to their kids, and I was reading one of the letters, and the one father, he addressed his son to my lovely, amazing boy. It's like the first 3 months of school, the father kept fighting me with the whole creativity thing. I'm like, your son's a creative writer. He's like, yeah, but he's not spelling right. I'm like, he's such a creative guy. Like he can take one situation and see it from 16 different perspectives and 16 different scenarios. I mean, he's able to figure things out that most kids can't, and he has a wisdom about him that it's unusual in a first grader. In his letter, he's like, I just want to start by saying to you that your mother and I were so very amazed and surprised by who you've become this year. And that to me, I was like, oh. And the father celebrated his creativity.
There was another student in there who, Jen and my goal with him, instead of talking about what we wanted his DRA score to look like at the end of the year, or you know, what kind of other academic support needs for him, it was really, we need to get him to connect to a character strength. He was the one kid on the carpet when she would dismiss them at the end of the day by strengths that they had identified as, I own this. He never had one. He would just sit there, and she kept trying out, oh, you're funny. You know, humor, you own humor. You own loving, you're very loving. And he would just kind of sit there, and he wasn't owning any of them. And I think he came to terms with humor. He is a funny guy, and he's slowly made some friends. But I just noticed when I was in there last week, and they were writing, the class moms put together a book thanking Miss Fisher and writing, and the kids had all written something. And this kid had written, you made me love school. Aww. And I think that was, you know, that's what she's here for. I hope this doesn't make the video. Watching those kids really transform, watching them own these words and use these words and become these words was just amazing. It was amazing for us to sit there and behold. And it changed how they approached school. It changed how their parents viewed them. And I'm just really, really excited to see where this is going to go next year. Jen and I have already had a lot of teachers asking us about ways that they can add this into their classroom. And we've got a lot of ideas. So now I want you to imagine that you're back in DC with 35 kids in your class, many of whom haven't had something to eat, or all of the host of other, you know, a lot of kids on IEPs.
Yes.
Do you think that this is doable in a class? When you think back to your old classroom, when you state testing and all the other demands of being a public school teacher in the U.S.?
Yep. Because I think if anything, you know, I think back to my years, because, you know, this is my first time overseas. So all those years in public schools, those are the kids who were really thirsty for this. I mean, they would have eaten this up. Because on any given day, they probably had to draw on 10 different strengths on any given day.
Yeah.
What perseverance, hope, I mean, creativity, you name it, they were having to draw on it every single day. And I don't think you need resources to teach children how to be amazing human beings. You don't need millions of dollars to do that.